pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk's report. Clerk's report this evening. Please find a copy of the agenda. I wasn't going to do this, but until we get through this curve, okay? Copy the agenda with the edited addendum items, and please note consent agenda item 12Z from your computers. It was removed from the agenda for further review. Just today we did that. And also at your seats is a Board of Education member list and a new list of Board of Education dates. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion.
Jack, Ronnie, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, carried, 8-0. Jennifer is absent. Okay, and I have an motion to approve the minutes of the July 12th reorganization meeting. I believe there was a Nicole.
That was me.
I'll second it. Second by Ronnie, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, passed. And now a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from July 12th.
Motion.
Tim, second. John, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, carried. Okay, that brings us to presentations.
Okay, this evening we have our elementary school, Jennifer Mackey and Erin Wood. I think, are you helping out with this too, Erin, or just Jen?
It's brief, so yeah.
Well, I just want to say I'm really excited for the presentation. Jen and Erin and the entire team of teachers and community members and parents spent a lot of hours on helping develop the plan. As you remember, we shared that in the spring the schools identified in having support for state scores. And this is some really exciting stuff that you guys have put together. So I know it's kind of a brief overview for the board, but I'll turn it over to you guys.
Wonderful. Yeah, so our school comprehensive education plan was recently approved by New York State, and we're just going to go over it briefly with you. The full copy of the report should be in your materials. So part of our process was to meet with a representative from the New York State Education Department who walked us through the steps that we needed to take to build this plan. And a lot of it was almost scripted for us. And so a lot of our job was pulling the people together. And one of the very first steps was a step called Envision, where we needed to look at our current mission and vision and talk together about how it fits our elementary community, anything else that we would want for our students and staff, really futures thinking. We were able to come together and make lots of lists and ideas and things that we would want for them. It's a little bit of a backwards design, so we did all the thinking, and then from there, the next time we met, we moved down to the analyze phase. And the analyze phase required us to gather lots of internal data, lots of state data from our state exams, behavior data, attendance data, and share that as a group with our planning team, including families, teachers, and taking a look at all the ways in which we have strengths and all the ways in which we have room to grow and improve. And then we moved into the listening phase, which was student interviews, which was really cool, to interview students, to come together as a team to decide upon what questions we wanted to ask students, and then how we planned on collecting the data from them. And so, we were able to find a staff member who everyone feels among our student body is friendly and someone who's easy to talk to and listen to, who they felt comfortable sharing all of their wants and wishes with our team so that we could go through the student interviews and use that as data as well. And then we moved into the SEP planning process, which was sitting down and writing the plan. So the state provided us with a template and asked us to come together and find commitments that we could all agree upon that we would use to work towards our goals for school improvement. They have approved our plan, and so we're at the implementation phase. And so we will begin implementing it, and they will check on us. And we have progress towards those goals that we need to report on mid-year, end of year, and et cetera. So the commitments that we decided upon were really centered around developing lifelong learners, making sure that high levels of learning was happening in all of our classrooms, and that we further our collaboration and communication and family engagement. Diving into that a little bit further, commitment 1 around lifelong learners really focuses on building strong classroom practices that students can take with them into the future. A lot of that will revolve itself around systematic assessment. So students know what they're being assessed on, and they can develop the skills that they need in order to really learn what we want them to learn. And part of that involves making sure we have strong learning targets, that we're chunking the lessons into smaller pieces and checking in on their understanding over time so that no one's falling through the cracks. And then providing that professional development for teachers. And then part of that is really focusing a lot of our efforts on Tier 1 instruction. We're still really committed to intervention services, but we're really focused on Tier 1. Commitment 2 is looking at our research-based protocols for PLC and making sure that we're really staying on top of our data. Something that came out of this planning process was that our teachers asked for weekly focus areas from administration that would focus their PLCs. And so we are going to do that moving forward. And so at the administrative level, we will look at the data, and then it will move down to the classroom level, and then into lessons and planning. So we're excited about that. And commitment 3 focuses on our collaboration and communication and family engagement, really trying to develop instructional highlights and sharing them with our families. And then creating even more parent engagement opportunities, specifically in regards to curriculum and instruction. So we really truly resonated with this quote. We really feel that this plan represents the tomorrow us, everything that we want for future us, and we really feel like it's accomplishable. And I know it's in small print, but it should be as a part of your materials, the planning team involved in the separating process and in all of the hours of meeting and planning together. And it is a living, breathing document, so we do get to change it over time as we meet with the state if we're meeting our goals faster than we anticipated, or if we're not, et cetera. So, yeah. Any questions?
Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, we really enjoyed doing it, so thank you.
Thank you.
Is it the only one? Okay. Okay, so we move on to central administration.
I just wanted to share with the board, I sent out an email to all staff, faculty and staff today, gauging interest and or need in child daycare for staff. This is something that a number of districts have talked about over the last several years in an effort to be able to be competitive and be able to recruit and retain staff. We have a lot of staff that have young children that are moving closer to be home. It's a lot of money for daycare, as you know, and so we feel that if we were able to offer childcare for staff, that would be potentially a game changer to be able to recruit and retain staff here. so a number of them are leaving. There are a number of districts in the country that have done this. It's not something that could happen overnight. It's a very lengthy process to be a certified daycare provider, even though we're a school and we have all the different approvals through state ed for certificate of occupancy and emergency plans and testing for this and that. It's not something that can be done overnight. It'll start with an orientation, an hour-and-a-half orientation to see if you qualify, the school would qualify. And then there's a long process of filling out an application. If we were to be approved, then we can look at, is that something that we could, would have to be probably negotiated in the collective bargaining agreement as a fringe benefit. But I think it's something that's definitely worth exploring as we are all trying to keep staff and to recruit staff. So I don't know if any other districts in the region are doing this. We may be the first, but we may be others following suit, and we may be back in the same position of trying to be competitive. So, but it's exciting. We'll see. We've already had 9 or so responses that have come in that say that they would be very interested in having that as a benefit for them working here. You may not be able to do a salary increase per se, but on the benefit side of things, that's how you start to make things attractive and embed those types of things.
Where would you think about?
We are looking at the elementary school. There is some options. Jen and I have been talking, so we'll see how that works out. Secondly, just in case board members, because I know you're going to hear it if you haven't already heard it, we have our football season is ramping up. We have our rosters that are set. However, and our current roster has 3 students on it that are technically ineligible to participate. And the reason is that and this is New York State law, if you are in the cohort, so let's say you were in the 2019-20 cohort as a freshman, okay, you started as a freshman and you were supposed to graduate with the class of 2023, then technically, whether you played football or any sport or not during those 4 years, you were still eligible to play. And if you didn't graduate with your class, your cohort in 2023, but you still had a number of credits to take to graduate from Clyde-Savannah, then you are not eligible to participate in a sport. So we have a number of students who fall into that ineligibility. This is not a Clyde-Savannah that we're not trying to help these kids. This is a rule from the New York State Physical Education Sports. I don't know if you want to speak a little bit more about that at this point, but it's
under the NASB state guidelines, and we have to abide by it.
Yeah, it was tragic to hear this. These kids certainly have dedicated their several years and want to play. It's the last thing we would want to have to tell them or a coaching staff, but just in case you're hearing about it, this is not a school decision that we're saying we're not supporting kids. This is a state rule. So just want to give you a heads up on that because it may be coming your way.
Are they current seniors? Or?
What's that?
Are they current seniors?
They would have graduated, so they're super seniors or beyond your cohort.
Gotcha. 4 years. Yeah.
So anyway, just in case you're hearing. One more thing, we did have yesterday a meeting with our architects and construction management. We are one step closer to coming to a final scope of the project. We're still trying to whittle down any out-of-pocket expenses from the district. We really want to get to that zero impact on taxes. We're almost there. Like I said, we start our planning with all the bells and whistles and everything you can imagine, shoot for the moon, I always say, but then the reality kicks in, like, okay, you can get a $60 million auditorium if you want, brand new build, but it's going to cost you $100 a year or $200 a year in your taxes. So we scale back, we scale back, we scale back, and I feel like we're almost there. So we're going to meet next Tuesday. We'll run the numbers again with fiscal advisors, and we'll see where we are. So if there's any impact to taxes, it would be really minimal. I don't know what the number would be, but our goal is 0. So very exciting. And just getting ready for the opening of school. Very busy.
only thing I have is the tax information. The tax levy is on tonight's agenda for approval. The rates for individual towns, they're down a little bit. The rates are down. That doesn't necessarily mean taxes will be down because of assessments went up. But the equalization rates were kind of weird this year. They were all over the place. So, but anyways, that just letting you know that's in there for approval tonight, so we can get the bills out later this month.
Thank you, Susan. Okay, building administration reports were in your packets. I appreciate those people who get them in on time. Okay, we don't have student rep yet. Any board member comments? You know, reading over the plans that we have to approve tonight, I was really, really impressed with them. CDIP was phenomenal. If we get even half of what you have planned, it's a big leap forward. The school safety plan needs editing before it's published, though. They're put on the
Yes, I
website.
drafted,
Yeah, it does. Okay. Board committee reports. Policies are always there. And I think policy committee, anyone want to volunteer to be on policy committee so Ronnie can go off? I do need somebody to go on and somebody to be chairperson. Because I can't,
I'm doing the county. Wayne County, that's probably enough.
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed being on policy. I mean, you really get to know the ins and outs, and when people ask you a question.
I'll help, but I will be chair, how's that? I'll
Okay.
take Ronnie's spot, but I'm the
Okay.
chair.
So that leaves it to Nick and Nicole. Okay?
We're both, I would say this. Pam, you have done such a wonderful job with organizing the policies.
Oh, yeah.
Chronologically, systematically. So whoever takes over that chairperson, it's really going to be fairly easy to do.
Oh, yeah.
And Pam obviously
And
would
I
help out
obviously
with
will,
that.
yes.
But
It's been my baby for so long.
I guess you'll still be the interim until further notice.
Okay.
I was trying.
Yeah,
I said I'd help, right?
Okay, well, we'll put you on the committee.
Okay.
Transition.
And maybe in a couple months, you'll say, oh, I'm comfortable enough, maybe. Okay.
Policy where you're still staying there, right?
No.
Like that?
No, I don't think it's legal for the president to be the chairperson. Okay, and that brings us up to public forum. Public comments to the board. In the interest of meeting efficiency, public comments should be kept within the Board of Education's 3-minute guideline and not to exceed 30 minutes total. The Board of Education has set aside a period not to exceed 30 minutes as an opportunity for district residents to address the board regarding school-related matters. We ask that you stand, state your name, share your information with the board. We welcome comments or concerns about agenda items that you may want to bring to the attention of the board. Issues related to specific personnel or students are not appropriate for public comment and should be brought to the attention of the superintendent of schools privately. The board reserves the right to end a speaker's time if his or her comments are not appropriate for discussion in a public forum, including but not limited to obscene language, libelous statements, threats of violence, advocating racial, religious, or other forms of prejudice. Generally, the board does not respond to public comments. The superintendent or board president may provide a response where it is warranted. We appreciate and thank you for your comments. Does anyone have a comment tonight? Okay. All right, that brings us to the consent agenda. Okay, I am abstaining from 12M and N. I would like to pull 14M for a separate vote. That's our contentious material. Does anybody else have anything they would like clarified or pulled or?
13H, 13I, and 13J.
13HIJ. Okay, are any of those executive? H is, I is,
Yeah, HI.
okay. So we will do 13HI and J in executive session. All right. Okay. So I need a motion to approve the consent agenda with addendum items with the exception of 14M and 13HI and J. Motion? Nicole, second? Nick? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion is carried. Okay, now we will go to 14M. 14M is, be it resolved that the Clyde-Savannah Board of Education approves the Library Materials Review Committee's decision to retain books in the junior-senior high library that were objected to by community member Jacob Marta. Okay, we understand what the motion is. All right. All those who approve their decision to retain the books, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna have to have hands or something.
We don't have to do individual again?
No.
You could do it. Or raise your hand. You have to
Raise your
hand.
1, 2, 3. 3 yes. Noes? Raise your hand. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the motion is defeated, which means the books will be removed. Okay.
Excuse me, don't you get the vote?
I do,
Oh, you did, okay.
I do.
Anybody make a motion to do this? I need a motion in a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. We need a motion in a second on this. Motion to, well,
Vote.
to vote. Okay, Ronnie,
One second.
Debbie. Okay. And the vote was 3 yes, 5 no, with 1 absent. Okay. That brings us to questions from the audience. Does anybody have a question about anything that happened tonight? No? Okay. At this time, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session for probably F. That's personnel, I believe. Okay.
Tanya, you don't have it because it's a simple agenda.
No, I'm on board docs.
It's under executive session. Maybe it should be over there.
It's the reasons
Oh, here
are
it is.
under
I see it.
executive
Yeah.
session.
The medical, yeah. particular
Yeah.
person. Yeah, it's on.
Okay?
Yep, and motion?
Motion by
Me.
Nicole, second. Tim.
Time?
It All in favor? No, we have to do that.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Email me tomorrow with the rest.
Yes, I will, ma'am.
Okay, I will need everyone's signature on this tax document. Okay?